here are my final thoughts on Life is Strange True Colors. So going into this game, there were a number of things that I was interested in that got me a little hooked into exploring this game. The first thing is the setting. It reminded me a lot of the place from Resident Alien, which was pretty nice. The other thing that I really liked was that the whole ability to, well, okay, so there's like really maybe like 4 or 5 things. Alex's ability to like see people's emotions and feel people's emotions was pretty cool. Considering that, like, in high school I was told I was someone that had a lot of empathy, and that I have a gift that can't be taught and stuff like that, so I kind of resonated with that idea. The other thing was obviously Steph, a character that could have been expanded way more in Before the Storm finally gets explored in this game, and even the option to have as a love interest, which was pretty nice. I think she's the best character in the game, if I'm being honest. And that's not counting biases. Like, just genuinely speaking, I didn't really feel any attachment towards anyone else in the game except Alex and Steph. And then the last thing that's kind of annoying, which I thought was going to be like the selling point, was that Alex is a musician, and yet it's not really explored a whole lot compared to like how much Max loves taking photos in like the first game. I feel like they could have done more and had like more performances. Maybe like if there was the option, I don't remember if there was like ever the option to like play a song on the guitar. I know that they had like a specific like musician to perform the songs that Alex sings, but it was kind of disappointing that was kind of like, it was like a little bit more of a, it was almost like she played the guitar just as much as like Max played the guitar. It's, if not a little bit more time to shine, but like it was pretty disappointing. I would have liked to see that a lot more. Now let's get into the overall experience. The first episode was really good. I will admit, I really like felt I really felt at home with this game for the first couple of episodes, or chapters, I guess. Yeah. For the first couple of chapters, because it was really delivering that community, or that small community vibe that I just love whenever it's done right in games. Like Far Cry 5 or Red Dead Redemption. It's just having that community was probably one of the best things that I liked about this game compared to like any of the other games. It wasn't the characters itself, it was how the characters supported one another wasn't like something that you really got out of the other Life is Strange games. Now I didn't play 2, so I will preface that. I don't know if that's the case in 2, but within this game, that was one of the reasons that I was kind of still hooked. The overall, like, I will admit that the Gabe dying was kind of underwhelming. Now, how he died was surprising, but just I don't know. I'm still not really completely sold on that whole idea. I think it was like the whole build up, like with going to rescue Ethan, was pretty, like, it was very engaging and all that. And I guess the overall, like, the aftermath was something that you got to finally see in full time compared to the other games where it was like, there was a missing character in the first game, and the second game there's nothing about that, and then this game, like, they literally kill off the character and then they make the game centered around it. Like, that kind of brings us to the gameplay. It was really bad. It was like really, really bad. Obviously, Life is Strange is not like a game that's known for its gameplay. Now, the mechanics wise, like, if you're talking about the superpowers, yeah, they're cool for what they are. In this game, the way they're trying to center the gameplay around it, the first thing I'm gonna say is the mission where you have to help Eden, I think her name's Eden, the old lady in the flower shop, retrace her steps because she's going through this whole, like, episode. That was annoying, but the worst part by far was going to look for Riley. Now, yeah, when I was playing that, there's only so many places you can go, like buildings that you can enter to look for said Riley. And I don't know if it was really like my brain that I should have thought about, oh, maybe she's sitting on a bench next to the flower shop that she works at. But at the same time, there's a fucking tree blocking that bench, so you wouldn't even know. Now, and the other thing too is that in the other missions, specifically, I guess you could say the LARP, when you're going around town looking for stuff, as soon as you pass the dispensary, Alex can't shut the hell up and say, oh, maybe I should check the dispensary and talk to Charlotte. Charlotte seems like she wants to talk to me or something like that. Why the hell did that not be the case whenever you would go past, when you would walk past that, small alleyway between the flower shop and the thing? Alex would have said, oh, there's Riley. I should go talk to Riley. I would have been like, oh, thank you, game. Because you're useless in, like, the LARP. I'm not gonna go talk to Charlotte. I'm too busy searching for loot and shit. As you can tell, what was it, episode 3 or episode 2 was hot garbage. I hated it. Outside of really the ending, which was, I believe that was the ending whenever she finds out that Diane is guilty about Gabe's death. Yeah. And that being said, the overall presentation of this game... Oh, actually, no. There was one thing that I also forgot to mention. Or two things I forgot to mention. The jump cuts are laughable. Like, genuinely laughable between cutting certain scenes. I feel like it could have been done a little bit more tastefully. And I understand that there's the issue with, because it's not, seasons or episodes, there's no ending credits scene, which is one of the main reasons why that part didn't sit, or this game kind of doesn't sit right with me, because without those credit scenes and the tying between those scenes, it looks bad. The other thing I also forgot to, I was going to forget to mention, is that I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but there was screen tearing. I had screen tearing issues when I was playing this game. Regarding certain aspects of this game, I would say that a lot of the positives weigh the negatives. The only issue is those bad gameplay sections do not make me want to return to this. Now, there's a good chance I might return to this game, but I know for a fact that, like, with certain, I don't know, there's just certain things about this game that make me like, I feel like we could have done that a bit better, or not at all. That made me realize that I think that a lot of criticisms that people have had with the Life is Strange games, I started to see here. Now, I used to think, I was like, okay, well, everything that you don't like about the original game, I like about the original game. But then I played this game, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm starting to see I'm starting to see what you're saying here. The one thing that I can say though is that this game doesn't really have a lot of cringy dialogue, like compared to the rest of the games, which is, it was different. We are playing with, like, there's no character that's like Chloe. Steph is more grounded, more likable, and even with the Wavelengths DLC, which I'll get to at some point in mentioning, I don't know, it's just so much. I feel like maybe when they like wrote Chloe, or maybe when they like found out that so much like a lot of people didn't like Chloe as a character, even despite having like the backstory of Before the Storm, they just want to make like, why don't we try to like make a new character and kind of like get rid of the elements that make her hateable, but also include elements that would like that, you know, still make her like you know, a badass. And that's kind of what you get with Steph. And I don't think that that's like really knocking the Chloe as a character, because at the end of the day, the difference between the years that each game came out, and not to mention, let's be on, we can't forget the elephant in the room, that this is not made by Don't Nod. That maybe Deck 9 wanted, or was also trying, they were also trying to give a new look to Life is Strange, because the first two games were had its own style and charm to it, and now they're making games that are like more realistic looking, which I don't have an issue with, by the way. I do think that this game is good in its own right. I know some people with Life is Strange, they want to just have the continuation of one specific story. For me, I mean, you know, like, it depends, like, however the game ends, I wouldn't want to see a sequel to this by any means. And we got our, like, well, not really, but we kind of got a little bit of a prequel, specifically with one of the characters in this game, which is Steph, in the DLC, which I think did a pretty good job at, like, kind of tying up loose ends from even past games, which was pretty nice to see. But that being said, it's kind of like, I like this franchise for a lot of the reasons why other people like this franchise, which is, you know, the music, the characters, the overall vibes. A lot of these games make you feel like shit afterwards. Well, mostly the first two make you feel like shit, and then this game kind of just makes you think like, I wonder where this franchise is going to go in the future, because it kind of it took basically a very specific story writing level that you would see in a like Netflix original, and turned it into a video game, which had a way better soundtrack than any Netflix original I had ever. But it's a staple of the franchise to have that good of a soundtrack. So I feel like a question that I did have when playing this game was, the other thing too is like a little bit of the cliche. When I mentioned the Netflix thing, there were some cliches that felt redundant, especially the one where it's like, oh, or it's just like, we love Gabe. Oh, but we're not gonna go against Titan. Titan runs this town. We're too afraid of Titan. Like, really? You're willing to help Alex do this whole investigation, but then it got even worse. Then it got even worse to that point, because my big issue with that kind of came with the ending is, and I don't care, and I'm gonna say this right now, I don't care if I chose the wrong dialogue options. It is bullshit that no one decided to listen, or, well, not really no one. I'm gonna say specifically Ryan, of all people. I think even if you didn't choose the right dialogue options, and I feel like the options that I chose were good enough, Ryan should still fucking believe you that Jed was the one that tried to kill you. Like, I don't care if he's your father. You are helping Alex set up this investigation on Titan, all for you to just not believe her in the end. Like, that was so stupid. I was really pissed at that, but I was also more pissed at the fact that Alex didn't even die from getting shot in the back of the head. Was she shot in the back of the head? I thought she was shot in the back of the head, and then she fell. God knows how steep that fall was, that she should have been dead. But again, you know, it's a video game. But like, I don't know. I feel like the Don't Nod would have done some of those things just a bit better, and especially those dialogue options. Like, there's no way in hell that Ryan would help you investigate that whole thing, all just to not believe you, for saying that Jed tried to kill you. Also, the other I'm pretty sure, and I'm not 100%, I'd have to go back, is that Mac, did Mac also not believe you? Because that would also be bullshit. The fact that you literally, even if you, like, you know, saved him from thinking about suicide, and also telling him that you believe him, that he wouldn't take a stand. Like, Steph was the only one that took a stand when I did my dialogue options, and I don't care what you have to say about that. Like, I think it was, I chose good enough options that I feel like Ryan should have been on my side, and that really pissed me off. But that being said, I think that's pretty much all the negatives. That one chapter we had to go look for Charlotte to talk to, or to get Mac to confess whatever he was hiding was ass, and everything after that was basically smooth sailing. A lot of the whole presentation of, like, when each character, or like whenever there was a big moment, like pretty much the end of the chapters, whatever, they were done so well, as Life is Strange as always delivers. And my favorite scenes are definitely whenever you're trying to talk, or whenever you're talking Ryan out of to not feel guilty about what happened to Gabe. And the other one being, probably even more my favorite, is whenever you're trying to understand what's happening to Charlotte, and when you take away her anger. That was like, that moment, like the music in that moment, and that moment in general, was just so good, so well done. Now, regarding the whole powers thing, I don't think that this was overkill in any sense. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, Max can rewind time, but Alex actually has superpowers. Like, she's like a Marvel hero. I mean, like, not really, but I do like what they did with her powers. And the gameplay around that, though, was not it. And I also didn't even bother with the side stuff, like, you know, reading strangers' feelings and stuff like that. I just focused on the main game, which also might have been another negative. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So my favorite things about this game, the soundtrack needs to be mentioned, of course. Soundtrack is it is real. Like, I really need to like go through every single soundtrack, and like I love all their soundtracks. Like, I haven't, even though I haven't played Life is Strange 2, just hearing the main menu or the main theme is so haunting, and I can't pick a favorite. This game has so many songs that it's going to be really hard to choose. But currently, as it stands, like, I constantly go back to the first game and Before the Storm with Daughter, and it has like really good music. This game has so much music that I'm gonna have to look into adding whatever I can. Wavelengths had some really good bangers though. Wavelengths might have had more music that I enjoyed from. There might have been more music I enjoyed from Wavelengths over this game, but the fact that they had "Thank You" by Dido was that was like a highlight of my journey through this game. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they have this song. So many amazing songs in this game, and again, I'd have to go through and listen to each and every one of them to really give my thoughts, but everything I've heard, specifically the song that plays whenever they're doing the lantern, whenever they let the lanterns go, that genuinely made me cry, on the same level as like Goodbye Santa Monica Dream does. So that being said, Wavelengths as a whole, Wavelengths for me is, if you don't want a full Life is Strange experience, play Wavelengths. But even though you can't, you have to beat this game in order to play that. It's a different type of experience because it's basically like you're a radio DJ / record store simulator, and then you find out more about what happened, or more about Steph's process and trauma. I mean, I guess, yeah, like negative past experiences. I guess you could also say trauma with the losing both Chloe and Rachel, depending on which ending you went with. That it was really like, I didn't cry with Wavelengths, but I was kind of close, because it was really emotional. It was really emotional. The interaction between Steph and Mikey, like whenever they're playing D&D, like was something that was just so surreal that I've had that, like being in those shoes and having those moments, like really resonated with me in a way that I feel like no other game or no other of their games like kind of did. The only thing I could like really relate to was like Chloe's freak out in the junkyard and like Before the Storm, because I've been there. But the whole Steph's I feel like maybe it's just because Steph's DLC is like so down to earth and realistic. I think maybe that's why I appreciate it on the same level as I like hold it as the other games. It's very like, it's kind of like Diet Life is Strange. Like if you want half the emotional experience you get from these games, or a little bit of an emotional experience from these games, just play the DLC and like you'll understand. Like it was very different, and it's kind of ironic that I would rather replay Wavelengths over this game, because it's just, they kind of hit me in a different way than the first game and this game did, but it kind of hit me in the same level as like Before the Storm, Because Before the Storm was still focused on like a more realistic story. It wasn't just like, like the normal Life is Strange. And the music, holy shit. I really hope no one. I'm glad no one said anything about me not figuring out that Sigur Rós was the band that did the song that was like my favorite song on the playthrough. And I should have known. I was like, I was like, oh, this is so different. I love this song. I should have known. I don't know why I didn't put two and two together. Yeah, the fact that though they had that Sigur Rós song. What was the there's like, I liked most of those songs. There was only one song I didn't like from that DLC, and it wasn't even like that bad. It was just that it was kind of just there. And I'm tired of the Portugal the Man song too. But other than that, everything was really good. It's kind of sad though that like in terms of the ranking, because I told my friend, I said I would give this game. I originally would give this game a 7, but I think this game deserves more, a 7.5. But I'll give Wavelengths an 8. I kind of want to give it an 8.5. It's just it doesn't provide that much of. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it definitely had more of an effect on me than this game did. The other thing I also would like to mention is the experimentation with like the flashbacks and I guess the emotional. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. The fact that they've decided to bring up this whole domestic past trauma thing with Alex at the end really didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I feel like that was like kind of just, it was like subtly hinted at. I feel like the game would have been better without that in the end, but then I guess we wouldn't have gotten Thank You by Dido, so double-edged sword. In the end, this game is a beautiful mess. It's beautiful, it's messy, it has a lot of things I like, some things that I really don't like, something that I loathe, that it's above mid, but it could have been so much more. But what it does offer is a decent experience, and that's what I leave it at. Wavelengths is great though. If you can play Wavelengths, play Wavelengths. That's all. Peace.